Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute Halloween cards and also these really sweet Halloween treat packets. Aren't they cute? I don't know what Halloween's going to look like this year in the pandemic, but if you packed up some little treat bags ahead of time and had them, handing them out to trick-or-treaters, I think that would be pretty low risk to be able to celebrate the season and also get some crafting done. And if not, well, hey, you can do cards with this and mail them off to your friends, relatives, and kids you know even, because these are really, really cute. This video is brought to you by TopFlightStamps.com. I'll be using the Quetzal Craft Monsters set as well as some of their Halloween sets. So look in the video description for all the products I use so you can find them too if you're interested. So without further ado, let's get messy and make some stuff. The first thing I'm going to do is stamp out some of the hats from this accessories set from Quetzal Craft, and then I'm going to stamp, I'm going to put my mask down, which I save anytime I cut a mask. I always keep it like with the stamp set. I just stick it in the little bag with it. And then I'm going to stamp a couple of these monsters over it that I think would look cute with the witch hat. So I got my Memento black ink, and I'm using this because I plan to use markers to color it in. If you're going to use watercolor, use an ink that's compatible with watercolor and paper that's compatible with watercolor. But I'm using Nina cardstock and Memento ink so that it will work with my markers. So I'm going to stamp this hat a couple times in kind of different directions to kind of figure, because I'm not sure exactly how each one of these is going to need to lay out. I'm not worried about smudges because I'm going to be cutting these out with my scan and cut machine before I use them. So I think I'll do one more there. I'm not sure which one's going to work out best for each thing. Now, let's see, I've got this guy here, which is him, and I'm going to want the hat kind of kitty corner like that, I think. So I think I'll use this one here first. I always like to leave a little space between my images in case I want to just kind of like chunky cut around them, and then, I just got extra room, basically. Okay, so let's ink this up with that same Memento black. Now the nice thing about using stamps from the same company when you're masking and you're building stuff is that they often will have very similar aesthetics to them, and they'll work really well together. So let's see. I just want to overlap the hat a little bit. I don't want to cover up all the eyes, but I do want it to look like it's sitting on the little monster's head. Oh, I think that looks really cute. Oh my gosh, isn't that adorable? Ooh, I love it. Okay. This guy, this grumpy monster, I think he will go good with a straight down hat. With the antennas poking out above the hat, I think is going to be so cute. Like there's like holes for the antennas. That's what I'm picturing there. And I'll probably stamp the other monsters from the kit as well. I'll scoot that down a little bit so you can see it. I'll probably stamp the other monsters just as they are. Let me see how far. Oh, you know what? I want that up higher, but I have another hat. I can try it on that one. Let's move my mask. I want the hat covering more of the head. Let's try this. Hope I did that high enough. That's better. Yeah, that works out pretty well. I think that's cute. Okay, and then we've got this little guy here. I think that's going to be pretty easy. Ooh, I don't know if I actually want to have the antenna. Well, let's just see what it looks like. Oh, I forgot to put the mask on. Oh, shoot. That's all right. We got one more. That's why I stamped a couple extras. Ooh, I might not have room to do that one. Oh, you know what? I think I will. You know what I'm also going to do, though? I'm going to take another Post-it note, and I'm going to mask more, because if I don't, I'm afraid it's going to You know what? I'm going to just do another hat because I don't think I have room there. Oh, you know what? I know I'm not using that one anyway, so yeah, I do. I have room. That'll work. I'm just going to mask more because I don't want the antennas to show on this one. But you know, on the ones that you don't end up using, you can always use them for testing your colors out, so don't worry about wasting. Let's see. The eyes are pretty low on the head, so I can actually put it up kind of high. Oh, I could have even gotten that a little bit higher. I think I'll try that one again. I mean, that's all right. It looks kind of like the hat's going to hop off the head. Let's do another one for that one. I'm going to do it down here to make sure I have enough room. I think I'll just use a Post-it note to mask. That'll work, and we'll stamp this guy. I have an awful habit of getting ink on my fingers when I'm inking up these stamps. Alright, I want that up higher, so I'm going to overlap that more. Oh, I like that. I like the little feathery things sticking out. Alright, I'm also going to stamp the other monsters from this kit just in case I want to use them. And I'm also going to stamp some pumpkins from this accessory kit. And there you can see what I mean about keeping the masks with the stamps. I just store them right in the baggie, and then I always have them so I don't have to cut them again because I'm lazy. So we'll see you back after these things are stamped out and colored. Okay, I have colored all of the images here. Now I'm going to take them over to my scan and cut and see if I can actually cut this out. This is kind of messy. It's more than I have usually on one sheet for the scan and cut to cut, but wish me luck. Alright, so the only image that this one cut out is that one right there, and I've got all the other ones here in this dish. It makes such short work of this, and it gives me a nicer finish than what I can cut out by myself. But the thing is, if you have any interior portions, it's not going to cut out the interior portions just as a regular direct cut. There's fancy things you can do to cut those out, but it's kind of above my, it's kind of above what I can do. Oh, and I also want to let you know, I don't tape my paper down onto my scan and cut mat because the mat that comes with the machine really isn't all that sticky. So I find that just helps things from, you know, sliding, because if it slides and moves when you're cutting, it's going to ruin your images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this through again to scan it, but I am actually going to cut this out and just scan this one image. This happens quite often, I'm not going to lie, especially if you've got like a page that's really full like this. I mean, there's so many different things going on. And then something else I'm going to do, because I actually would like it to cut in here around that antenna, I am going to see if I can make a path for the the scanner to recognize by just going in there with the gel pen. And you know what, actually I think I'm gonna cover that all up, kind of like white out. And what I'm gonna do is I'll just make the little antenna ball up there a little bit higher. I'll use a black pen to define it so that it's got a nice dark line to cut out, and then I'll look and see if there's any area where, you know what, this might be why it didn't want to cut, because of that little furry line there. If you have any broken lines, the scan and cut is not going to want to recognize it. So I'm just looking over and see if there's any other reason why this one wouldn't have cut out. I'm just looking for any breaks. Now, if you color your images first, I find that it usually does a better job at cutting out for some reason. I think it's because even if there was like an area that wasn't like a solid line on your stamped image, if you've got the color in there, it kind of helps it identify it. So I'm just going to use some tape. I'm going to tape this back onto my mat and try again. Well, it wasn't perfect. Not only did it not recognize the path I tried to make for it, it didn't recognize that side either. So I'm just going to have to fussy cut that out. If I can't cut around the antennas, well, then I can always just cut them off. So I'll try to cut around them, but if it's too skinny, then they can get cut off. I'm not going to worry about it. And I usually will stamp and color a couple extra, just in case I have errors. I do not like to abandon something I have colored, because coloring takes probably the longest out of all the techniques that I do on cards. Ah, crap. I just cut that off. So, you know what? This monster is just going to have a hat. Oh well, we tried, friends. We tried. But that does make our life a lot easier. And actually, I mean, if you did some masking and your stuff went outside of the hat and you didn't like that, you can always just fussy cut any of that stuff out. I'm going to cut off that little snippet right there too. So you sometimes still need to do some fussy cutting when you're doing this, even if you're using the scan and cut, like between the legs here. Or you could, something I often will do too is I will just wait until I get my project made, and then I'll see whatever I have for the background, and I will just grab a marker or a colored pencil and, oh, that was pretty easy, and just color it close to the background so I don't have to worry about it. But everything else cut out pretty well, and these guys are so cute. The pumpkins cut out really well, but I've got a whole dish of these to play with, which I will do shortly. I wanted to make some fun, colorful backgrounds to go on my project. So what I did was I took a piece of cardstock and I die cut this kind of label book plate shape 6 times from one piece of cardstock. I love that because it gives me a bunch of different backgrounds to play with. So what we're going to do is do an Emboss Resist here. So I've got my paper here. I just hit it with my embossing pad or my cornstarch bag here, because I was sure I would forget. And then I'd have embossing powder everywhere. And then I'm just using clear ink. This is the Versamark clear pad. Just get it well inked, and you could have it kind of go off the side, you could have it go kitty corner, you could have it go straight across. It doesn't matter. You could have it just go along one edge, and you can do this for whatever motif you like. It doesn't have to be a spider web, but I thought a spider web would be really pretty with this because it's kind of Halloween-y. And then, you know, if you look at spider webs, they're really kind of, you know, shimmery, and they catch the light. They look a little more white than black. Of course, you could do this with black ink if you want to after you do a background. That's totally fine. Do whatever works for you. Do whatever you like best, because it's your card and it should reflect your personality. So I've got the embossing powder on there. I'm just going to grab this with a clip so I don't burn my hands off. Don't want to burn your hands off. Just those little rubberized clips are great because they don't get hot either. And then we'll just heat this up really quick with the heat tool. I've been using this so it's nice and hot. I do recommend that you just heat your heat tool up for a couple seconds before you bring it to your paper otherwise, so that it doesn't warp your paper so bad, and it doesn't, it just melts your embossing powder a little bit better. As soon as it starts to melt, move it along so you don't end up overheating it and then having it seep into the paper. And the paper that I'm using is just cardstock. It's the heavyweight cardstock from Joann's. But you could use any sort of cardstock will work fine for this. I like the thicker weight. I feel like I missed a little in there, so I'm just giving a little bit more heat. Sometimes it can be tough to see, but if you tip it to the light and you see the glossiness, then you know you've got it. And then you can pour the excess back into your embossing powder cup. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we are going to put it on some scrap paper, and we're going to use some water reactive ink. And I have some distress ink, I've got some prism ink, and I've actually got this one right here that's cool because I just did it a few minutes ago. Now on this one I didn't have the lines go all the way to the edge, but that's fine. I'll show you how we can deal with that after we're done inking. And I recommend that you stick with colors that are in the same color family. So I could do warm colors like these pinks, oranges, and yellow, like that, or I can do cool colors like greens and blues and purples. So we can do some of each, and then we'll have a couple options when we go to make our cards. So what I usually start with is my lightest color, and I'll just pick an area to begin with that. Now your lightest color is not going to give you as much contrast on the image, so then maybe I'll go in with a little bit of yellow. Now notice I'm just doing direct to paper here. I am not getting out an ink blending tool or anything, so it's super quick and easy, and you really don't need to use an ink blending tool for this because we just want to get down a lot of ink. All right, we're not going to be fussy here. That looks pretty good. We can even add a little bit more of a brighter pink in there if we want to really darken up those edges. I think that looks good. Maybe go into a little bit more of the orange to blend out that pink a little bit. It got a little bit too strong. Then after you do this, you want to take a tissue or paper towel and just kind of wipe the ink off of the embossing. Okay, and we're gonna let that sit for a minute so the ink can soak into the paper and dry. And then over here, we can use some other colors. We can use some cooler colors. Let's start with, let's do a little bit of green. We can start that here in this corner. I find like the Prism paint, Prism inks, the Harmony inks, and the Distress inks all work really well for this. I'm sure there are other reactive inks that would work really well too. Just use whatever you have that that lightens when you splash water on it. I think you could use the Distress Oxides, but since they're a little bit more of an opaque ink, I didn't know if they would give me as much contrast, and I thought they might cover up my embossing a little bit too much. If you're going to use Distress inks, I would stamp over it with a black ink after you've done your effects. I think that would be a nicer look with those. And oh, the nice thing about the Prism pads is that they're foamy, so they actually kind of act like a Ranger ink blender kind of. So you can go direct to paper and actually get a better blend. And we'll set that aside to dry too. So this one's probably pretty well dry, and we're just gonna splash on some water. You can just simply like take the spigot out of your water bottle if you've got a spray bottle handy, or you could just grab a brush. Any watercolor brush should be fine. And just kind of flick some on there. Totally depends on what you have handy, really. And then I like to let that sit for a minute so the color can kind of bleach out. This is just regular water because these are water reactive inks. You can see that one brush load of water really gets plenty of water down there. What I like about this is it looks like dust motes to me that would be like, you know, floating around a barn. That's what I think of when I do this effect. And you get a really neat effect. It's kind of fun and artsy, and I don't know, I just really like it. So I'll show you those other ones that I did earlier, different motifs. Now, if you have, if you notice that your lines don't go all the way to the edge, you can just take a gel pen, a white gel pen, and you can just kind of connect them out to the edge. But make sure your paper's dry or it's not going to work very well. And you might need to like start your pen on scribble it on a scratch paper so that it will get going. But I thought those were really pretty, and now we're going to let those dry before we go on to our next step. So this is the first treat bag that I made, but after putting it together, I realized this would be a really cute pocket in like on a scrapbook page or in an art journal or junk journal. I just used a little glassine bag. You can get these at paper supply stores, craft stores. They're a little bit more of a, and you can actually get Halloween ones, probably at the grocery store. They're little glassine bags meant for food, like cookies and whatnot. Or you could put wrapped candy in there, which is what I plan to do. And they're the perfect width, these are anyway, for this just slightly under 4-inch wide die that I have. This was a Doris book plate set. It had a bunch of different shapes that were just perfect for journaling and stuff. I just really liked it. The thing I really thought was cool about this is that my ATG gun tape sticks to this really well. And where did that tape runner go? Holy moly, I swear everything, my table is completely covered and everything is going every which way. So I'm just going to put a few strips of this so it doesn't get lost, so it doesn't fall off. You know, if you're going to put a bowl full of these wrapped up like treat things in a bowl on your porch for Halloween, it's just about perfect. I mean, I could hardly even make one that perfect. You can also use a brown paper bag as well, small brown bag. That would work just as well. And then I'm going to grab a little monster. I'm going to use some foam squares to pop him up there, or her. I guess she does look a little bit more like a her. And I still have the yellow foam squares, guys. I should probably just pause the video while I do this. So you guys doing trick-or-treating? Let me know in the comments below if you're still gonna have candy out for the kids, if they even do that in your neighborhood. I know it like wanes in a lot of communities. Most people have been their kids have been going like to the mall or doing trunk-or-treat, but I think like neighborhood trick-or-treating would probably be a little bit safer than like a trunk-or-treat where you've got so many people in such a compact area. Well, that's just my thoughts. I also want to let you know I live in a very small town, so we don't have the exposure, as much exposure as other people would. I'm going to use a little bit of this metallic rub-on. They still make these. I was so excited to see these are still available on Amazon last time I used them in a card because they are really handy. I'm just going to rub a little of this silver gilding paste on top, and it's just perfect because you can use your finger to rub it on, and you don't need like a big clumsy sponge. It just works really well. And I like these little fine tip glue applicators. I picked these up at Dollar Tree. They are just the Elmer's washable glue, and I have really good luck with those. I have trouble with glue if you've watched any of my videos. Maybe not so much since Jason's been editing them for me. But I usually struggle and fight with my glue applicator at some point or another. So I could put that pumpkin there, or I could do, I've got some wooden ghosts and pumpkins. Maybe I'll do a little wooden ghost. That goes to the brown smudge on its head. Let's do that one. Oh, that's cute. I'm not going to trust the adhesive on here. What I'm going to do is actually, since this is fairly a thin pop dot embellishment. I think I got these at Dollar Tree last year. They probably have them this year. They tend to recycle their embellishments from year to year, so you might still be able to find them. I like the wooden embellishments, but I kind of fall into a crutch and I use the same type of embellishments year after year, so sorry about that if you've seen this before. And actually, I don't think I've used any of those before, so hopefully you haven't seen them yet. I'm just going to stick that there, and I think I'm going to take, let me see if I have a white paint marker, and just going to touch that up a little bit, make it a little bit more white like a ghost. I guess I should have probably moved the fence over a little bit. Now, in this one, I actually used a black Sharpie just to color that one black. So you don't have to leave them the natural wood color, especially if you've been kind of like, if you were like me and you got a bunch of the wood embellishments because they just seem to go with everything because they're neutral, and you're just sick of them, grab an ink pad, grab a marker, just tint them because they're a natural material and they will take media really, really well. So that will need to dry. Just be careful not to stick your fingers in it. And just for a last little embellishment, I feel like I need something right there because I've got that kind of dead space. I think I'll use a little star. One of these little star embellishments. I don't worry about things being like discontinued or whatnot when I'm using them. I will pick up stuff that I know I will use for the way that I craft. So I picked these up at a close to my heart booth at a stamp convention because I knew, yeah, that's the type of thing that I use, right? You don't have to get exactly what somebody else is using. Oftentimes, you know your style better than anybody else, so buy the stuff that you know you will actually use versus, you know, what's really trendy and popular and what you think everybody else is using. You know your style best. I'm not very fussy. I want something that's going to be easy to put on a card, and it's going to reflect my style. And that's a fun thing about it because then everybody's got their own. Like I can look on Instagram and see somebody's card and be like, oh yeah, that card's by so and so. And I love that because I feel like it just shows the artist's personality. And card makers are artists, and it's, you know, I think you should reflect yourself. And I know, like, it's so funny that like you don't think kids are really that keen on, you know, handmade things or anything, but I would always make handmade cards for kids on their birthday because I like to make kid themed cards. They're fun, you know, use those bright colors and stuff. And I had one mom come up to me one year and she goes, I've got to tell you, my son saves every one of your tags and cards and uses them for bookmarks and tacks them on his bulletin board. He just loves them. And I was just like, wow, I never would have expected a little kid to save like the cards. So you can put your treats in here. Like I've got some, I just actually totally grabbed these from my kids' my kids' room. They had some from because birthdays were just a little ago. So you can put some treats in there, and you can either leave it flat like this, or you could staple it. You could fold that back, and you could staple it, or you could just leave it like that and just kind of drop the treats in. And I think that looks really cute and is super easy. Here's a couple ideas on how you can use these stamps and the background panels we did to make some greeting cards for Halloween. I think they're so fun. And I also borrowed from this stamp set that we used a couple weeks ago on a Halloween card because I love those sentiments and those little spiders. So let's just go ahead and do that. I have got just a panel of kind of a corally color cardstock. I've got this kind of light lime green cardstock. I have got this panel here, got this guy, oh yeah, and maybe a couple pumpkins. Okay, I think that's going to be really cute. All right, first thing I want to do is actually put some baker's twine on this. I think I'll do the, well, maybe the green would be cute. Actually, I'll do the green. I was going to do orange, but I think I'll do the green. And we'll just do that same technique where we wrap the twine around a couple times and just knot it just for a little bit of texture, and it also kind of just brings out the do I like that? Yeah, I think I like that. It also just kind of brings out that whole spider web motif, I think. Paper crafting scissors are not the best for cutting twine, I've realized, but I don't have my fabric scissors in here, so I've got to make do. Use what you have, right? Use what you have so you don't have to run into the other room. You can trim it up with your good sharp scissors later if you want. Okay, I find that if I do pull the strings tight, I can cut it a little bit better. You could also have the knot, oh, I'm just hacking here. You can have the knot on the back side too if you like. I can just use some adhesive. I don't need to use glue, I can use dry adhesive for this. A tip is to go over the string. If you ever have like fiber on a card, is to go over the string itself, because often that will help lock stuff down, which looks nice. I think I could probably go right ahead and adhere that right to the base because I'm not planning on doing any brads or anything. I found it's a huge time saver cutting like a bunch of card bases and just having them ready to go, and a bunch of like layering panels. So my card bases are half a sheet of cardstock. They're 4.5 by 5. They're 4 1/4 by 5.5, and these panels are 4 inches by 5 1/4. And what I did was I went through all my scraps and I cut them down, excuse me, to these common sizes. And oh, it's been great. It's been great because I don't have to hunt through to find the right scrap of cardstock. I can just grab it already cut down from the bin. If I do need to go for a full sheet, I can. But whenever I'm die cutting or whatever and I have scraps, I cut them down to this size or this smaller size, which I use for insert panels. So I always cut them down to a normal size. And I do keep some scraps just kind of like, do I want to stamp over the edge? Oh, I'm deciding. I think, you know what? I think that might be kind of cute. I think I'll do that. I do keep some smaller scraps and I just kind of put them in a little dish, and if I'll try to use them up. But if I don't, I don't. Now, when you're going over a couple layers, I love the look of it being stamped over a couple layers. When you do that, though, you're going to notice that you'll have gaps or like little halos where you're going over a couple layers, and I just take a black marker or a marker to match whatever you're stamping in and just kind of fill in. So it's a very easy way to do that. Just like if you were stamping an image and your stamp skipped, you could go and you could fix it. I think I'm going to do the foam squares on this because I've been doing that for all of my focal images. And honestly, if you're spending a long time coloring something, if you put the effort in there, you might as well show it off, right? I think so. I like to color stuff too. It's kind of fun, especially like if you like a certain holiday. If you're doing like say Christmas cards, you put a Christmas movie on, or if you're doing Halloween, you put a Halloween movie on. I think that's a lot of fun. And you can cut down your foam squares to fit what you need to pop up. So if you cut it while you still have your backings on, it's not going to get your scissors sticky, and you're going to be able to cut it just fine. Hopefully that's hidden. I don't know if I cut it well enough so that it's gonna, oops, oh shoot, I stuck the wrong edge down. I don't know if I cut it well enough that it's gonna, sometimes they peek out from the front. Oh, I think it's fine. Then we've got the really awkward amount of me. I have no idea how long this video is, guys. It's probably like 3 hours long. I have no idea. But we're going to have like a ton of cards when we're done. So, or favor bags or journal pockets or whatever you want to use them for. I mean, you gotta, use it as an inspiration, and then you can, you can make whatever you want. You know, if you don't like Halloween, you can use these techniques to do something else. Now I think I want to put a couple pumpkins right there. Oh, I think that's kind of cute. We'll just glue those down with my little fancy Dollar Tree glue. Oh, and I've just lost the cap, so it comes through to a packet, luckily. I do plan on refilling them, but gosh, they are handy. Maybe I'll just buy another pack. I am picking up this before I lose it. I'm not that wasteful. Okay, now let's see. We could stamp on some spiders. Why don't we do that? Because I did that on the other one. This ink pad I'm using is it's the Obsidian Black by Altenew, and I like it because it stamps over a lot of different things. It covers really well and it dries really fast. So it's a hybrid ink, and apparently you can use you could use watercolors on it if you want. And I haven't had good luck embossing with this, but maybe some other people have. But you can use watercolor, and apparently you can use Copic, they said, once it's dry. I would probably scribble off my marker just on the scrap when I do this, because I am going and I haven't given the ink plenty of time to dry. So I just scribble it off. I always have a scrap piece of paper roaming around for me to do that on, which is buried right now because, oh, there it is. I'm just going to scribble it. I don't like to risk getting my brush nibs gross. And I feel like I do want a little, I don't know, I want something down there for an embellishment. Maybe this little spider button. I don't know, that seems like a bit much unless I did it. Oh, you know what though? No, I know what I want. I got these at the Dollar. You probably think I do all my shopping at the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree and Top Flight Stamps. I wanted to use one of these eyeballs. Oh, I think that would be cute. Or maybe that one. Oh, there's too many. What do I pick, guys? I don't know. And you can't help me because you're watching the video after I've done it. You're going to be like, oh, Lindsay, you should have went with the other one. Ah, I'm sticking it down. That's cute. I think that's cute. I still think I would like something down here, but I don't know what. I don't know what. Maybe just like, you know what? Maybe just a swoosh. Of course, now it looks like he's got a funny face. Now it looks like the boo is a funny face, but that's all right. I think that's really cute. I've got a few more things left over. I'll probably just make another card with it, but that gives you some really fun ideas for these, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out our sponsor, topflightstamps.com. They have so many wonderful products, including the stamps that I use today. I'll show you these cards here. So fun. Wouldn't it be fun just to mail these out to some friends, especially if you can't get together on Halloween, and you usually do. It's just a fun way to celebrate the season. Visit topflightstamps.com. I'll have all of the products I used linked up down below, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and let me know if you like these kind of crazy live narrated videos for the card making projects. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.